Hello and welcome to the Spiritual and Political Podcast. I'm Alan Zundel. Today's topic is what holds a society together? And I raise that topic because it looks like our society is pulling apart, falling apart, maybe even heading towards some kind of civil war in the future, divided along a number of fracture lines economically, immigrants being pitted against people born within the borders of this country, the very wealthy being pitted against those who are struggling to maintain a decent standard of living or even achieve it in the first place. Uh, Political divisions, both between parties and within parties, divisions over cultural issues like religion and race and gender, all these ways that we're coming apart at the seams. What is it that holds us together that we might look at to say, why has this gone wrong and how can we bring it back together? That's my very simple task for myself today. All right. Let me start off with a few housekeeping things. Number one, it's been a whole month since I posted something. The last video was on October 19th, and it is now November 19th. That means I've been doing other things with my time. Some of you already know what that is. I've been working to try to understand better current research on the historical Jesus. I'll talk about that later in the show because it ties into what I'm going to say today about Christianity and why I'm looking into that once again in my life. All right, so I also want to mention that the lighting of this video looks like it's a little on the green side. My skin doesn't look right. I think that's because I'm using a lot of natural light from the window next to me, and it's getting towards the end of short days in the fall here. So the quality of the lighting is a little bit different. Not sure if I can color correct it or not, but thank you for joining me. Thank you for bearing with me. Thank you for returning, those of you who have been following. Let's get into it. All right, what is it that holds a society together? I'd say you can lump these things into three main categories that we can conveniently label with words each beginning with the letter S. And those would be survival, sex, and stories. I bet you didn't expect that last one. So survival, sex, and stories. What are those about? Survival just means mating. Mating is in the sex part. Survival means meeting our basic biological needs, right? We need safe drinking water. We need adequate nutrition for our health and thriving. We need shelter from the elements, both in structures and in clothing and in energy sources to heat our homes and to provide us with extra power for doing things. So the way we meet our needs in these areas is primarily through cooperation. Working together, we can do a lot more to produce stuff we need, to find safe drinking water, to clean water, to bring it to where we need it, to raise food and to make clothing, to build structures, to find energy sources, all the stuff we need to do. We can't do individually very easily, so we work together cooperatively, and that necessity brings us together and holds us together. So we need a viable economic system that has us working cooperatively to meet our biological needs. Number one, that also entails not only an economic system, but a political system, which is supposed to keep order within so we can continue to work together towards those needs and deal with people who maybe want to disrupt our ways of working together, and external threats from other societies that may want to take resources from us or stop us from taking their resources for, their threats from outside for various reasons. So we got an economic system, political system to hold us together and to keep us together. Sex. Now, perk up your ears for that one, right? What I mean here simply is that we have sexual desire. It's a meaningful part of life. People want to have sex with other people in various ways. And this leads in most cases to some kind of emotional bonding. It's the creation of family life. People who want to live together and to maintain a domicile, a household, share resources, make meals together, and also out of sexual activity for most people, for many people anyway, comes children, pregnancy and childbirth. Then we have children to raise, so we have to work together to do that as well. And those are things that keep us together, right? The ties that we have with the people we are emotionally bonded with and with earlier and coming generations, our children, our parents, our grandparents, our grandchildren, all these things hold us together. And then there's those that become extended family members or have our extended family members from siblings and cousins and the rest. And the honorary family members, that's what I was trying to get at, friends that we allow into our lives with greater or lesser degrees of intimacy, sharing our private thoughts, becoming attached to them, affectionate about them, sharing meals with them, sharing resources with them, bringing them into our family life, spending a lot of time together, all that stuff, that all helps to build the emotional glue for society. These units of families and extended families and friendship networks, all that helps to keep people together. And beyond that, we imagine our larger society as an extension of our family in the sense that we picture them as people much like ourselves, with similar values and with similar outlooks. So that's what leads us to the last part, which is stories. Stories we tell ourselves about who we are, what life is about, and also importantly, what death is about and how to deal with death in our thinking and our approach to our mortality, that of the people around us as well as ourselves. And I think in the United States, the overriding stories, I'm going to call these mythologies because they're kind of structures of thought that have a pattern to them, and they can have a lot of variation in the actual telling of the stories or how you think about it, but they have a certain kind of commonality that everybody shares. In the United States, our common stories were built originally when the society was formed, I think, about two things: religion and a belief in rational progress. Religion, primarily Protestant Christianity. Coming over from England, folks shared a certain set of assumptions. Even if they didn't belong to the same church and they disagreed about a lot of points of religion, they had this general sense that Christianity provided us with meaning for our lives and upheld the kind of ethics we need to work together and to maintain family life, and a sense that we could appeal to a God to help protect us. And if we behaved well and maintained our connection with God, our country would thrive. And that when we died, we would go to heaven or maybe be punished if we deserved it. So this kind of a general framework of a story that you can fill in with details that may vary from person to person, especially from denomination to denomination, held us together in a lot of ways. We had a general sense of shared ethics, a general sense of our place in the universe, the cosmos, and a sense of what death meant and how we approached it, that it was some kind of afterlife involved. Combined with that, often uneasily, we have the after effects of the secular Enlightenment, rational thinking that led to a lot of more philosophical reasoning and then to discoveries in science and technology. Technology helped us to provide for our economic needs better, and science helps protect us biologically. Health care and cleaner environment, all the stuff that we learned about what it takes to prolong our life. That's really the approach to death that we have in that kind of secular mindset, is we want to prolong our lives and our health as long as possible, and we use science to try to do that. All right. All three of those areas have been endangered. I think the first one, our ability to work together, has been endangered. I've said this before, and I'm not going to go too deeply into it, but capitalism. And what I mean by that is primarily that an investing class that owns most of the resources in the country, most of the productive resources, gets to control where investment is placed and how much reward people get from it. That is what workers can expect in terms of wages and benefits. So that has been moving people in opposite directions, the very, very wealthy and the people who have to work for a living, a lot of people unemployed. We see the effects of this: homelessness, economic precarity, where people are in danger of losing their shelter. People don't have enough to eat, people out on the streets, people who are doubling up with others in housing in order to just keep a roof over their heads, people that aren't sure if they're going to be able to hold on to a job or find a job in the first place. So our economic needs are not being met very well by our economy. Now, whenever I say capitalism, people automatically jump to the conclusion, somebody's going to, that what I'm suggesting is we need big government socialism. I don't think that's the only answer to this problem, and I'll get into that a little bit later. Number one, okay, so our economic security is threatened by our economy, our economic system, and our political system is not working well at either. That's easy to see. It fuels the divisiveness that's already there into a two-party system where they're both at each other's throats. Because there's only two viable parties, each party can have conflict within its party over the direction to take that party. So I think our political system has been a big problem as well. On that score, I spent about 20 years of my life trying to do what I think is a pivotal reform for our government that is the way we elect people. I think we need to get away from the way we elect people in order to have elections that draw people closer together and make them more capable of talking to each other rather than drawing them apart into opposing camps that have to try to defeat each other at all costs. I do think that's an important thing, but what I've learned, number one, you can't get a hearing for your economic ideas unless you can get attention in the political system, unless you have a viable means of making those changes through politics. You can't get attention in the political system because it's closed off to anything but people that conform to the expectations of the two major parties. So what's left? All right. So I think the economic problem is feeding into it because people are struggling to have enough for themselves. They don't feel as inclined to partner up with other people. They may do it out of economic necessity, but in terms of family life, you don't want to take on responsibility as an official partnership, that is a marriage, if that other person can't be counted on always to provide themselves. So when you feel an economic precarity, you're going to look around and say, even if I can take care of myself, I'm not sure if this person is the right one to partner up with because I'm not sure if their job is secure or if they have enough resources. So people are more reluctant to pair up into domestic partnerships of any kind, including marriages, especially when it takes legal responsibility and financial responsibility for each other. Beyond that, people can't afford to raise children anymore. It's very difficult to provide for them. And because of the tenuousness of our whole environmental and economic and political situation, people aren't sure they want to have kids and bring them into this mess. So our family relations are fraying as well. And as far as friendships go, people feel more and more isolated because people are so divided along political, economic, gender lines, and the rest. They turn to social media to find people that are the same, but what you find in social media is people who come together around who they oppose and what they're against, as opposed to how we can talk to people who are not quite on the same page as us. All right, so that's survival and sex falling apart, and finally stories. The stories that we've told ourselves, what's happening there? Christianity has been under assault, not only by reason, by people studying the Bible and asking questions about how true this actually is and how reliable it is, even questioning the very existence of Jesus, which I'll talk about in a little bit. So divisiveness between different churches over the question of how much you can believe about the Bible, whether you take it more literally and think it's historically accurate, or whether you take it as a little more with a grain of salt, maybe giving us a good system of ethics, but something you can't entirely believe. Some more fundamental mindsets think the end of the world is going to come, so let everything go to hell because Jesus is coming back. Whereas other people have more, okay, maybe not that, haven't thought about that, but I do think we can get rewarded in the afterlife. So there's divisions within Christianity. There's attacks on the viability of Christianity, and there's threats not only from secular thought and rational thinking and investigation, there's also threats from other types of religions, more and more so, coming into our country, Asian religions, people turning to, and Islam. Some folks coming in with that belief or turning towards that belief or already have it and are growing. So there's divisiveness in the religious realm. And in the area of our secular mindset of progress, progress is not too obvious when we keep engaging in wars with more and more destructive weapons. We have to worry about nuclear war still. After all this time, we haven't found a way to avoid war and to learn to cooperate with other countries successfully. We have threats from environmental damage to our continual survival, especially ordinary people. Maybe some people can escape the consequences if they have enough resources, but I even doubt that. So threats from warfare, threats from environmental damage, and even questioning of whether science has been corrupted by the profit motive itself. Profit-seeking corporations entering the healthcare field, entering lobbying, changing government approaches to regulating the medical field, and even invading academia and research and medical journals, trying to skew things in the direction that's better for their bottom line and not necessarily good for health. So a lot of questioning of science, stuff like vaccines. Are they safe? Are they not safe? We have a questioning of whether reason and science and progress are really things that we can count on to move us forward. So those are the problems. Those are the areas we need to address. For myself, and I think I've said this, I don't see how I can make big changes in the economic system, certainly not all by myself. I would like to join with other people to do that, but as I look around, there's not any groups that really share my particular view of this, which is not to buttress capitalism or to just make it more of a free market neoliberal type of capitalism, or to just try to ameliorate the worst effects of capitalism. I don't think that's going to succeed for reasons I'm not going to get into today. So that is the progressive democratic socialist path, the New Deal path. I think there are reasons why it's not as viable now as it was in the past. Full-on socialism, what Marxism is mostly about, is about putting together a coalition of working people to use the political system to take control of the means of production and then using it democratically for the benefit of people. I don't think that's going to work very well either. I'm not on board with that. I do have ideas, but in short, I don't have ideas that are shared by existing groups that I can find. So how do I get my ideas out there? That's been the problem I've always had. One thing I've done for a long time is try to reform the political system in one pivotal way, which is how we elect people. I think we can change the way of voting that makes people more apt to come together and talk to each other and find solutions and compromises rather than becoming more divided by the political system, because it channels people into this two-party partisanship that is not good for the functioning of government or for our ability to cohere as a society. I worked on that for a long time. I think there's obstacles to that as well. There's a lot of organizing around what I think are the least promising methods of voting reform, to my mind now, which would be the open primary system and ranked choice voting. So again, I have thoughts that are not shared by a lot of people. And even there, though, I think our political and economic system is deteriorating so rapidly that just reforming one little part of it isn't going to be enough. So where is the leverage an individual person has to begin to address these problems? My thinking lately has been in the area of stories, right? What are the stories we tell ourselves, and can we patch them up, revitalize them, or do we have to cast them out and come up with something new that's convincing and meaningful to people? Tall order, but you have to ask the question, what kind of story can we all accept that helps us to move forward and work together and build a better world? For myself, my political views have been largely shaped by my previous religious views. I had been raised a Roman Catholic. I left that as a teenager and sometime in my early adulthood became more spiritually inclined when I found my life as I had been living it wasn't very, there was something missing, some kind of meaning missing. And I get into the spiritual stuff and I'm looking at everything except Christianity, and eventually went back to the Catholic Church, in part because of familiarity, in part because I saw a lot in there that appealed to me, such as I took up meditation was very important, and there was a meditation tradition within the Catholic Church. Social justice was an important component of it, that in the Bible, I saw a lot of social justice elements, and that helped shape my views of what was needed in society. So I was Roman Catholic for a long time until my problems with Catholicism, but also Christianity, started to pile up. Questions about it and things that did not seem right to me. Eventually, I encountered the mythicist position that Jesus was purely mythological and not a historical person at all. So my interest lately has been to examine what the current research is about the historical Jesus for two reasons. Number one, in my own mind, how connected I can still feel to Christianity in any sense, whether I can even subscribe to a general sense that Jesus was a great spiritual teacher or ethical teacher and had something to give us about how to live our lives and what's meaningful. The most weak form of Christianity you might have, whether I could even see Jesus as a real person. So I was examining that. What is my connection to Christianity anymore? How much of it can I accept? How much of it is well grounded? And try to answer those questions once again to put together in my own head what that is. The other side of it, though, is the social side, because I see Christianity still is a strong political force. People who have particular visions of what Christianity means have become very politically active, but is causing more divisiveness in society rather than bringing us together and persuading more people to their point of view. It's kind of us against them once again. So to try to find out, how viable is Christianity, how well grounded it is, has both a personal aspect as well as a social aspect. Um, and that's what I've been doing lately. Those of you who have been following me for a while know that I had a website, Jesus Reconstructed. You can find it at jesusreconstructed.com. And .com doesn't mean it's a commercial site. There's no paywall or anything like that. It's simply my thoughts and findings as I re-explore the Christian tradition from the standpoint of what we can know historically about Jesus, what he did, what he taught, what actually happened back then, to try to answer questions about, can Christianity still be a viable force in our world in some way? Can it be reformed? Can it be, does it need to be discarded even, or countered with a better story? And what would that better story be? I think those are questions that need to be asked. And that's what I've been looking at. I'm not sure how far I'm going to get. I just started a book last night, a brand new book that was just published, and I got my copy by, I think, a man named Richard Carrier. He's not a biblical scholar, but he did a lot of studies of it on his own. He's got a PhD in some other field, mathematics, I think. And he's defending the mythicist position and bringing the debates on that up into the present day. So I started on that. And once again, I encountered this stuff first time about 15 years or so ago, and it did lead to a lot of questioning on my part. So I'm looking at what he has to say and seeing that it's challenging even my more recent findings. So that's kind of something that I need to grapple with. And I will report on that not only on my website. If you want to go there, you can sign up for my blog to hear my continuing explorations of the Christian tradition if you're interested in that at all. And on this show, I will probably at some point come back and tell you more about what I'm finding about that. And of course, next year we have elections coming up again, so I will be moving more attention to that and the politics as well. Right now, I don't want to delve into politics. as much because it's just so things are falling apart. What is there to say about it? How can you even help people to understand it when day to day the system is falling apart? Anyway, I don't want to leave it on a negative note. I hope that in your life you're finding a way forward for yourself, and that if you watched to this point, you got something meaningful out of this discussion, this presentation. Please leave your comments. I like to hear your reactions to what I had to say. And thanks for taking the time to watch this. Keep tuned. You can subscribe, and eventually I'll put up something again to let you know what's happening in my thinking about this, all of this. All right. Thanks. Bye.